please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Where Are They Now? Today we're going to be taking a look at the consequence year, and that's basically what it is, for Just Stop Oil, who while still active-ish, doing their thing as it were, have finally started to feel the consequences of their actions throughout 2022 and 2023. Of course, we have covered them many times in the past 2 years. Now 3. I'm not going to play any of those videos. No. I think you've seen enough over the years to know these disingenuous middle-class hacks, funded by those who came from oil anyway, hypocrites that drive cars to get to protest locations so they can glue themselves to the road or deface art, buildings, people, so on, need to be held accountable and to the same standard as anyone else who does what they have been doing. The hypocrisy within this group is astonishing, and so this video will be us going through some of their activities and all their consequences. And all of them, I'm going to start by saying it, consider it foreshadowing. I support. Why? Because Omegon is a knob, and as a grade A knob, I am going to happily stand on my hill and say, you losers deserve it. That being said, we do have to acknowledge the former UK government introduced rules, law changes, that gave the police greater powers to inhibit the ability to peacefully protest. While there is certainly a point to be made about damaging private property, certainly when it came to museums and the public spaces like airports, it should be acknowledged that a lot of the other protests they were hosting were peaceful. Giving the police the power to simply say you can now all disperse or be arrested was wrong, because that power can be misused. So when Just Stop Oil believe that this law needs to be repealed, I agree with that, because that law should not exist. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's now go through some of their antics for the year of 2024. I should probably offer a minor correction here. I'm going to show you a few clips where they have featured, but let's be honest here, it's mostly been within the exhibition of stupid people, and they're not going to be long clips like I've done in the past where I play entire videos. No, this one's going to be a bit more localized, focused, right? Let's begin with climate activism in 2024. What I really love is some middle-class toffs looking down upon the oikery by performing their own virtue-signalling attempt at activism that is in effect a form of vandalism, because that's how we really stand out. But because they know they're not really going to accomplish anything by doing it, it is exactly a virtue signal. On Twitter, the Mona Lisa was trending. It is arguably the most, or one of the most famous paintings on the planet. This painting is so famous, it is one of the most protected as well. Understandably, when you are a middle-class white trash climate activist, you are going to have the Mona Lisa on your hits list. Culture critic, soup being thrown at the Mona Lisa by climate zealots. Security just sits idly and watches. Once again, the sad truth is that this is being allowed to happen by the gallery. This has happened enough times now for there to be a rapid response protocol, yet nothing ever stops them. These institutions are no longer fit to be custodians of these masterpieces.
On va vous demander d'évacuer.
On est riposte alimentaire et on demande la mise en place de la sécurité sociale et l'alimentation durable.
Now, while that isn't just oil, and it would be very disingenuous for me to say it is, I want to point out that this tactic has become international. The tactic of defacing priceless art. We're going to come back to it, circle back, soon enough, because we have consequences for those who have defaced art under the name, for the name, of Just Stop Oil. The second video where I know for certain I featured a clip concerning this group, so definitely Just Stop Oil was an exhibition of stupid people. I'm going to play that clip here, and then we're going to go through some articles. So next we're going to insert Just Stop Oil and some consequences. For example, you have students that appeared at the Crucible Theatre last year in a match between Robert Milkins and Joe Perry, the World Snooker Championships, that was interrupted by a man called Edred Ilmari Heath Whittingham. Yes, he's middle class, hence all the unnecessary names that sound like locations. He appeared at the Sheffield Magistrates Court, charged with criminal damage, because as you can see from this picture, during the World Snooker Championship, he decided the green felt needs to be brighter, more vibrant. Now, Edred was charged with criminal damage. Margaret Reed appeared at the same court charged with attempting to cause criminal damage. The only difference between Edred and Margaret is that Margaret was, well, prevented from performing the similar stunt on the other table in play because she was tackled by referee Olivier Martel. Both have denied the charges against them, pled not guilty, even though it can be argued, technically, you have. Yes, Celebech. They have both been granted unconditional bail by the District Judge Daniel Curtis until their trial, which will be on the 10th of May at the same court. Hello everyone, Future Meg here. I didn't provide an update to this because I forgot, and Edred was not interesting enough. I did, however, do a little digging and found that Edred, after disrupting his match, was found guilty after a one-day trial. Co-defendant Margaret Reed was given a 2-year community order and told to carry out 100 hours of unpaid work after being found guilty of attempting to cause criminal damage on the other table. The table that Edred damaged got him an 18-month community order. He was also ordered to pay £899 in compensation and asked to carry out 200 hours of unpaid work. As far as sentences go, these are the softest. I promise you that. Perhaps if the courts had waited a few more months for Labour to come in, the sentences may well have gotten more severe. I guess it depends on whether or not Keir Starmer was going to be given free tickets to the next Crucible or not. So the first of the updates and or consequences for Just Stop Oil happened in July of 2024. 5 environmental activists, as they're more commonly known, not domestic terrorists, who organised protests that brought part of the M25 to a standstill. Just to be clear here, if you bring part of it to a standstill, you bring all of it to a standstill. Rerouting is one thing, but it caused problems elsewhere, meaning you basically stop the M25. They have all been jailed. 45 protesters climbed gantries on the motorway in November of 2022. This forced the police to stop the traffic in an attempt to cause gridlock across southern England. They succeeded, by the way. The judge had said that Roger Hallam, Daniel Shaw, Louise Lancaster, Lucia Whitaker de Abro, and Cressida Gethin, names got posher as I went through them, had crossed the line from concerned campaigner to fanatic. At Southwark Crown Court, Roger Hallam was given 5 years. Now would be a good time to point out that the UK government, the brand new Labour government at this point, had changed the rules a little. They freed up some space by letting some people go, violent criminals, to make way for those who said nasty things on the internet. They've also introduced a new system where if you're sentenced to, say, 5 years, you only have to serve 40% of that, meaning Roger Hallam will be out, well, in 2 years. Why don't you just sentence him to 2 years then? And instead of offering a 40% discount, make him serve the full 2 years. And no, I don't want him serving close to 10 months in prison for a discount on that. All other defendants, all 4, Daniel Shaw, Louise Lancaster, Lucia Whitaker de Abro, and Cressida Gethin, received 4-year jail terms. Now my view is that these sentences are quite strong if they are sentences they complete, but they won't. Therefore the redundancy of the sentence is that they're not actually doing 4. They're not even doing 2. They'll more than likely do 1.5 and be out on good behaviour, if they can keep their sodding mouths shut and not keister stash any phones or perhaps oil or anything else environmentally unfriendly that they would need in there because they're good little hypocrites. Something of interest. Prosecutors allege the protests led to an economic cost of at least £750,000. The cost to the Metropolitan Police was over £1.1 million. A Zoom call that was chaired by Shaw was infiltrated and recorded by a Sun newspaper journalist and passed to the police. The judge said the recording revealed the intricate planning and the level of sophistication involved in the protest action, that is, and that the defendants were parading their political views by appointing themselves as sole arbiters of what should be done about climate change. The reason Roger Hollam got a longer sentence-ish compared to the other four is that he is a veteran environmental campaigner that was up to his neck in the planning of this protest. I do remember around this time there was a video of someone claiming to be Cressida Gethin's brother. It was a Poe. I believe I fell for that. F. Now this is one series of consequences. Do remember here, when you go to someone like Cressida Gethin, she's 22 years old. She now has a criminal record that cost the taxpayer nearly £2 million. Well done. A criminal record for disruption of emergency services, disruption of people. This is one of the many things that rubbed many people up the wrong way about Just Stop Oil, because you believed yourselves the arbiter of truth. That was not okay with the idea of freedom, and freedom will trump it every time. But Cressida, being the youngest, is going to be the one most impacted negatively by this because of her criminal record, unless she gets a full-time job working for the diminishing, well, Just Stop Oil. We'll move on from this group to two more people who experienced consequences this year for their actions defacing Vincent van, and I can't be asked to get the correct pronunciation for his last names, paintings with soup. One of the very first instances where Just Stop Oil garnered some notoriety, it concerned Phoebe Plummer and Anna Holland, two individuals who took a can of Heinz soup, tomato soup, and launched it at Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers painting. They then superglued their hands to the wall and talked about food, the world, future generations, and their generation. They were previously convicted of criminal damage because the pair had caused £10,000 worth of damage to the gold-coloured frame of the glass-covered painting. Now that was a point many omitted and didn't realise, that a lot of these paintings have protective film over them. So I consider these protests a bit redundant really, but I guess when it comes to actually causing damage, they don't want to do that. Back when they were initially found guilty of criminal damage, the Southwark Crown Court judge told them to be prepared in practical and emotional terms to go to prison when they are sentenced in September 2024, the 27th. Quote, "They came within the width of a pane of glass of destroying one of the most valuable artworks in the world." Now they were subject to bail conditions, not to carry glue, paint, or any adhesive substance. Phoebe Plummer went on to cause disruption at Heathrow Airport by spraying orange stuff everywhere. She also went to a number of cafes where she was actually not allowed to go because there were protests nearby, and she went and joined them and got arrested multiple times. So what do you suppose happened when they finally got sentenced? Well, Phoebe Plummer got a 2-year jail term and Anna Holland 20 months. Anna Holland comparatively kept a lower profile. Just Stop Oil had tweeted this out by also adding that Phoebe Plummer received a further 3 months from marching in the road for 20 minutes, stating that also Anna and Phoebe will be appealing and that there is a donate to support them thing going on. Not many people in the replies to their tweets can. That's a running theme with Just Stop Oil. Unless they're tweeting about people going to prison, they don't get much traction, although they are getting ratioed on their own tweets, because people do not support your actions. What amuses me and annoys me is that not long after they were sentenced, so more Just Stop Oil activists, domestic terrorists going to prison, some other lobcocks decided to come along and do the same thing again to the exact same painting in protest of bleh. We have a video of that, by the way.
People in prison demanding an end to new oil and gas, something which is now government policy. After sustained interruptive actions, countless headlines, and the resulting political pressure, future generations will regard these prisoners of conscience to be on the right side of history.
O virtue, dear virtue, where art thou, thy virtue? Just Stop Oil had been tweeting around early October about Hurricane Milton, the storm engulfing Florida, and they're using it to make wider points about global change. The thing is, Just Stop Oil are English-based, yet they seem to be naive enough to think that we can impact the globe. We can't. Other nations need to tackle their problems themselves, or they need to go to those countries and tackle those problems there. Difference is, they won't go to America, because they know they're more likely to get shot. In this country, you'd be lucky if someone flicked an eraser at you. I say lucky because you'd claim that was a weapon of war. With regards to the more recent vandalising of the glass covering the sunflower painting, at time of recording, none of the identities of those 3 people is known. Just Stop Oil have thrown their weight behind them vehemently. They're also doing some kind of doomsday clock thing because they believe the world is going to end. I stand by what I said when I found out Phoebe Plummer had been sent to prison, and nothing of value was lost. By the time they leave prison, I guess the world will be over and humanity extinct. So I wish them all the best in their future endeavours. I may have plagiarised part of that from the WWE. I'm okay with this. I say this because right now people are pouncing on Storm Milton, the hurricane, right now because of the phenomenon that it has generated, the size of it, the danger it poses to human life. Yet in the UK here, we didn't experience a heatwave for the summer. We didn't experience much cold, much hot. It has been a very neutral year this year, which leads me to believe if we are to go with the severity of climate change that they are claiming, for us in the UK that is, next year is going to wipe us all out of the face of this planet, off the face of this planet. Either that or you're blowing it out of your arses and you should be fed Neutralo for the remainder of your years. All 2 to 3 of them that you're in prison for. When you leave, by the way, Phoebe and Anna, please get real jobs and live with real people. You'll soon discover that real people don't give a feck about what you think, especially if you're a pretentious twerp operating out of London.